Good day. Today we'll start about UML behavioral diagram. There are several types of behavioral diagrams. We have use case diagram, we have sequence interaction diagram, we have collaboration diagram, we have state machine diagram, and we have activity diagram. Let's see about use case diagram. Now, use case diagram is a diagram which shows the participants as actors and it shows the tasks carried out by the actors. We'll be using an stick figure to represent the actor or the participants, and then we'll be using an oval shaped symbol to represent the use case, which represents the tasks done by the end user. It shows the overall task which the user is interested to perform. Having not having met these features, and these represent the features and the services which the final software must possess. If any of these features are not available, then obviously the user will be highly disappointed. So we have three stick figures over here representing participants, customer, bank admins, and ATM technician. There's an example of a bank ATM machine. The customer can check balance, they can deposit money, they can withdraw money, they can transfer funds, and all their work is authorized by bank admins. And then the technician does the repair work in case the ATM machine has some is not functioning properly, and then take care of the renewal process. Then we'll move on to interaction diagram or sequence diagram. Now, this diagram is more detailed compared to use case diagram, which shows the interaction between the participant and the use case in a very detailed manner. So, one interaction can be represented as a separate interaction diagram also. Overall, you can have an interaction diagram, plus for each and every interaction, you can have a separate sequence diagram. It shows the order by which things are done, and moreover, in real time, it represents the data. So the notations used for a sequence diagram are, we can use a lifeline symbol to represent the device, the machine, the system, or a particular state or a particular participant. If you don't want this particular notation to use for participant, then only for participant you can use a different notation, which is nothing but actor. And then we have activation bars. Activation bars represents a particular point in timeline which shows completion of an operation or one session where it represents one task or an operation. Then we have messages represented using arrow marks. So the bank customer enters the card. So it's much more detailed. It shows more details. It inserts the card. If the card is okay, then the ATM machine requests for the PIN number. If PIN number is correct, then the menu is displayed. Otherwise the message saying that PIN number is invalid is displayed. Then if your customer has chosen withdrawal operation, then the amount is verified in the account whether the sufficient balance is available. If it is available, then the cash is dispensed. Otherwise, a message is shown that cash is insufficient and the card is removed and the receipt is produced. So the activation bar represents one session or completion of a set of operations. We'll move on to another diagram called state machine diagram. This is also a behavioral diagram which shows how the objects behaves. It represents the possible states system could be in, which is visible to the end users, and what causes the transition between one state and the other state. So the rounded rectangle symbol is used to represent the state. Then shaded circle is used to represent the initial state, and double shaded circle is used with the inner circle shaded to represent the final state. So ATM could be in idle state, or they could be in a state where they're reading the card. They could be in a state where they're verifying the PIN number. They could be in a state where they're returning the card back, or they could be in a state if the verification is correct, showing the option menu. So what are the possible states the system could be in? What causes transition from one state to the other state is what is represented. If it is system is idle and somebody inserts a card, it changes from idle state to card reading state. If the card is successful, then obviously it will move to PIN entry and verification state, so on. So it represents the overall picture. We have collaboration diagram. Collaboration diagram shows the objects in the relationship with the help of messages, that too with respect to events. And now events are nothing but they cause triggering from they cause triggering between two objects, how you can transcend. So notations used are, we'll be using a rectangle symbol to represent the objects, and arrow mark is used to represent messages and the events. And then every event is numbered. Customer wishes to check balance. ATM message inquires about the balance and displays it. Similarly, same thing goes for deposit process. We'll move on to activity diagram. Activity diagram shows the execution flow. It shows the workflow of how things are carried out. It uses the following notations. Like previously, one shaded circle can be used to represent initial state, and double circle with inner circle shaded can be used to represent the final state. Then we have an rounded rectangle to represent the state. A diamond symbol we can have or need not have it. It's optional to represent decisions. And then we have a divergent point branching off, and we have a convergent point where we come to some conclusion. We have two ways by which we can represent activity diagram. One is one single fold activity diagram, and then we have n fold activity diagram. In single fold activity diagram, we'll be representing the entire flow in a single activity diagram with the participants details not shown over here. So for the ATM machine, reading the card, reading the PIN number, and then displaying and choosing a particular transaction and performing the transaction, and the card being ejected out is what is represent a single diagram. If this is you want to add more detail, then it could be represented using n-fold activity notation, where you show clearly what the customer does, clearly what the ATM machine does, and clearly what the bank inner admin do. So the customer inserts the card, and all the verification is done by the ATM with taking the help of bank admins. So it shows the workflow between various activities with respect to different participants. So either you can represent using the single fold notation, or you can represent using n fold notation. Thank you.